Alright, so we're back with another video here, and this will be a video on the 4K and 8K. And here you'll see I have a Naniwa 4K Gukin and my 400 diamond plate. So I'm going to slurry my stone here, flatten it, and leave the slurry actually on my 4K stone. Okay, so again, if you take a look at my previous video, you'll see that I did this on the bevel set as well, leaving the slurry. And here's my gold dollar, same gold dollar on the previous video. And getting right back to going with circles, watching that slurry and making sure that I'm pushing that slurry up the stone. Generally speaking, again, it's about a 7 or 8 count that I'm counting in my head, and here just demonstrating that that forward torque. Okay, so I'm applying pressure down onto the stone and then also torquing the razor forward just to make sure that I'm introducing the bevel to the stone. The slurry here, as you can see, is darkening and getting a little bit thick, so I wanted to water it down. Moving on to half strokes, and again, I'm counting here either to 7 or 8 roughly. The half strokes, I'm using actually a heel leading half stroke, and I can really start to feel at this point the edge is really starting to give me the feedback that I know that it's nearing the point to where it's removing all the previous scratches. So I'm just doing some heel leading X strokes and getting rid of some of that slurry as I'm doing that. Again, making sure that I'm applying that forward pressure, and I'm going to wash off all that slurry now. Eliminate some of the swarf and wash off my razor and get back to doing more heel leading type X strokes. Watching the water, trying to get undercut, paying attention to any feedback. So as I'm doing the X strokes here, I'm really trying to listen and feel for feedback. Is there any feedback at the heel, in the middle, or the toe that would lead me to believe that there's still more work that needs to be done? So I just want to do a quick inspection here, and then just drying off the razor and taking a look with my 16X loop, inspecting all the way along the bevel from the heel all the way to the toe, checking to see does the finish look the same all the way across. So with a 4K stone, it would look like a near mirror finish. It would be a matte finish. Okay, so what I'm doing here is actually taking my 1K Syrax stone and rubbing that against my 4K stone to really buff out any scratches off of my 4K stone, and trying to get the absolute smoothest surface that I can. Okay, and then washing that off, washing off all of the slurry. I probably could have done a better job to rub that 4K stone and make sure that there's no 1K material left over. But anyway, wash the stone, and again, just back to the heel leading X strokes, and I've lightened up on my pressure here. All right, watching the water, making sure I have good undercut. Continue on. I did notice at this point that I actually had a little bit of feedback at the heel, leading me to believe that there was still some more work to be done at the heel. So I'm actually torquing the heel here and really trying to apply some pressure at the heel to make sure that making sufficient contact there. Going to check it again under the loop, and I can't recommend that 16X loop enough. I mean, as I'm honing at my honing station, I'm always grabbing that loop and inspecting along the way to make sure that the progress is that I'm making good progress. So I'm noticing here that on the razor at the toe, I have a little bit more work to do. So I'm going to apply pressure at the toe, okay, especially on that away stroke, the away stroke for me. Applying pressure at the toe, so I'm using my left hand to do that. Really make good contact, watch the undercut, and I'll start to feel it. The feedback on the razor and the stone will let me know that at what point I'm actually making good contact and buffing out that scratch. So you'll see me here just removing that swarf and washing off the stone. Again, really my attempt just to try to make as best contact as I can and really polish the best that I can on a 4K stone. All right, so easily removing arm hair at the 4K level. I'm ready to move on to my 8K. So this is the 8K Fuji from Naniwa. So I have the Hayabusa and the Fuji, the 4K and the 8K, and what a great combo. I mean, just great stones. Both of these are just, they pair up really well with one another. So flattening the stone, leaving the slurry on there, and it's the same process. The circles, again, a 7 or 8 count. Yeah, and just continuing with those circles. Okay, so again, heel forward circles, 7 or 8 count. You can see I'm removing metal, the slurry is beginning to darken, and then moving right into the heel forward half strokes. Again, 7 or 8 count in my head. And then heel forward X strokes. And I would go again to about 8 to 10 of these. Again, my whole principle with using slurry here, and I know it's maybe unconventional, is using that slurry to me means I'm making my 8K stone more aggressive than without the slurry. So maybe it's more like a 6,000 or 7,000 stone. And as I stop using that slurry, it gets closer to that 8,000. So I'm gradually getting to that 8K. Washed off all the slurry, and again, I'm back to my 1,000 Cerax and using that to burnish my 8K stone and get it as smooth and flat as I possibly can. Then I'll wash off all of that slurry, rub it with my hand. Don't want any contamination, so really going to clean that off really well. Now I've got a nice clean flat surface on my 8K. Wash off my razor, and now polishing, strictly polishing my razor with my 8K. Getting really good undercut here. I'm going to do, I don't know, 8, 10, maybe 20 round trips here. And then of course inspect with my loop. I'm a big fan of the Hayabusa, the 4K Hayabusa, and the 8K Fuji stones. I really like these stones a lot, and I've pretty much done away with my 12K because I feel like the 8K is a mirror finish. Okay, so again, inspecting the edge with my loop. And from the heel to the toe, it should be a mirror finish all the way across, from the bottom of the bevel all the way to the apex. Really inspect that to make sure that I've made sufficient contact. Okay, so again, with the gold dollar razors, there's almost always going to be, at least in my experience, an issue with the razor at either the heel or at the toe. So as long as you recognize that on a gold dollar, that you're going to have a razor that's likely going to have a warp, you'll know what to look for. Okay, so I've really lightened up on my pressure here, but I am sort of trying to concentrate some pressure at the heel and rolling that pressure towards the toe, rolling that pressure from heel to toe using my right hand and then my left hand. And you'll see I'm using more or less a windshield wiper type of stroke here to really draw in that toe. So it looks good, and we'll move on to the finishing of this razor.